Well, many of the chronic health problems that plague people in this country are related to poor diet and lifestyle choices. We're talking about illnesses like diabetes, cancer, gastrointestinal problems, and cardiovascular disease, often developing as a result of our diets.
And with the cost of health care and insurance on the rise, many people are taking a more active role in their health by changing their diets and adopting a healthy lifestyle.
And so here with us this morning is producer and two-time cancer survivor Sula Miller and her husband, Steve Waxman, who is also a writer and director and discovered just in the last year that he had clogged arteries. Hello, guys. Good morning.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show. And Sula, I want to start with you because having survived cancer twice, that had to be a wake-up call.
Oh, absolutely. It made me sit up and take my health into my own hands. Remember, most doctors, they have hundreds of patients, but you only have one body, so you really have to take control and look after your own health.
And with you, Steve, I mean, you are still in the prime of your life and found out just less than a year ago that you had clogged arteries?
Yes, well, you know, I've always stayed in pretty good shape and eaten pretty well, but my father had a heart attack when he was 52. So when I turned 52, I thought, let me see what genetics are doing. And sure enough, I failed a stress test and found out that my arteries were clogged. So they wanted to do an invasive procedure, and I really didn't want to do that, so I decided let me attack the problem with diet and try to reduce the fat that goes in, and hopefully that will shrink the cloggage factor.
And that's when you come in, yeah.
I was so happy that he made that decision. I had to let him make that decision, but I was really happy, and I wanted to be very supportive of it. So I did a lot of the shopping and reading the labels, and I really made a point of learning a lot of different recipes so that he didn't feel denied, he didn't feel hungry, try to keep food prepared in the refrigerator, things like that.
Oh, that's good. And so you say, okay, we're going to make these changes because you love your husband. Obviously, you want the best for him. But then along the way, something kind of unusual happened. Miss Sula said, oh, this is working for him.
Exactly.
Maybe it's going to work for me, too.
Exactly. I had, been ping-ponging up and down with my weight, over the last 10 years, good 10 pounds up and down, and done a lot of fad diets. And he's losing weight on the diet, and I'm not on the diet with him. I'm preparing for him and eating some of the food. And I'm, going up to about 140 pounds after a vacation. It was like, okay, I got to get back on a diet.
Sure.
And Steve was like, why don't you just eat like me? Then you really won't have to go on a diet. I was thinking, well, I'm already preparing food for him, so why not?
Why not just make more of it? Well, let's talk about what this diet actually is, because you did an overhaul of what it was that you were eating, and you're vegan now, right?
Right. Well, the basic concept was that the average American diet's about 30% fat, and this diet is supposed to go down to 10%. And by taking in 10% fat, you will be able to heal your arteries because they will no longer be clogged up and be able to reverse the disease. And so I thought that sounded great. And now, okay, so what food do I have to eat? And as we were talking about, no oil, total vegan. And, I liked a lot of that stuff, but I didn't know how to make a lot of it. So then Sula started cooking for me, and boy, it was great.
That's amazing. Now, what kinds of changes did you start to see?
Well, being a Brooklyn girl, I grew up learning how to make a lot of Italian food, and everything starts with, olive oil and garlic and onion and great aromas, and everything gets flavored that way. I couldn't cook like that anymore, so I had to come up with a different technique.
That was a great technique.
Yeah, but I've noticed, right away, as soon as I started eating, I felt great in the morning, okay? I was clear in the morning. I was clear all day. I hate to admit this as a male, but my nails and hair never looked so good.
Well, listen, I didn't want to bring this up, but I was noticing, right? I said, oh, my God, he's got great hair.
And my nails, too.
Well, it's like if I do say so myself.
You are what you eat. If you're putting all kinds of great healthy foods in your diet, you're going to feel better. But what I found so interesting is that you couldn't eat certain things that you had eaten before, like almonds and avocados, you were telling me, which most people at home are thinking, well, those are great
They sound
foods.
healthy, but if you have clogged arteries, they will contribute fat. So it's about keeping the fat content down, and that 10% is the mark that you're supposed to shoot for. My cholesterol was about at its highest 260, normally 225. When I started the diet, about a month or two after, 166.
Oh, boy.
So the results were there, and it inspires you, and plus you feel great. And I've eaten all the stuff throughout the year, so it wasn't like I was missing anything.
He loves a good pulled pork sandwich and the pizza, and
But
Been there, done that. That's all gone. Yep.
Well, I'm excited to actually find out some of the recipes that you actually make for him so that people at home can start putting this yummy food into their system. So stick around with us, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
And you all stick around too, because after the break, Danielle is going to head to the kitchen with these guys to show us some yummy recipes that they whip up as part of their vegan diet. So stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
Alrighty, before the break, we introduced you to Sula Miller, who is a two-time cancer survivor, and her husband, Steve Waxman, who recently discovered he has clogged arteries. Now it's time to taste some of their yummy vegan recipes, and my tummy is rumbling because it is breakfast time. So let's get to it. Okay, so Sula, I know this is exciting for you because you love to cook. You've adopted this new lifestyle. Tell me what we're going to make first here.
Well, we're going to make one of our favorite meals, which is lentil stew.
Ooh, and I love lentils.
Yes. And we were talking about how to cook without the oil.
Which is tough, I would think.
Oh, it's really, really tough. But the key to the operation is roasted garlic.
Okay.
So what we do is we cut the top off and just stick it in the oven or even a toaster oven for about 30 to 40 minutes. Once it's done roasting, let it cool off. You don't want to burn your fingers.
Right.
Then peel it, chop a tomato, and then you're going to saute it in a pan like this. And as you can see,
it looks like you put oil in there, Sula.
Actually, yeah, it does.
It does, right?
But this is what's going to give everything its flavor.
Okay, so that's your base.
That's my base. So then you add 6 cups of water, a 16-ounce bag of lentils, and bring that to full boil with your seasonings, whether you like paprika or onion powder or parsley, oregano,
whatever
you
like, you can put in there.
Absolutely. You can spice it to your taste. And then once you come to full boil, then you're going to chop carrots, parsnip, throw them in there, bring it back to full boil, and then bring it down to a simmer. And you're going to simmer it for, I don't know, anywhere between 40 and 60 minutes. You're going to watch it. You got to stir it often. That's the key to, another key. And you'll see when it's ready. The parsnips and the carrots will become soft, and it'll become more like a gravy-ish.
Ooh, that looks so good. And I wanted to bring you into this, Steve, because here's the thing. And you mentioned it. You said at the end you're going to go ahead and simmer it for 40 to 60 minutes. It takes a long time, admittedly, to prepare this kind of food, and some viewers might say, I don't have the time to do all of that. And you would say what to that? Well,
the key, I think, as well, is to make a lot of it. And then you have it for like 2 or 3 days, and you can go back. You can have it 2 days later. Stews are great because they tend to simmer in their own juices after a while. So
it's always better the next day.
Yeah, and well, it's also good right when she makes it.
Right.
But yeah, it gets.
Oh, you're such a good husband. You're good.
It just keeps getting better.
Well, I like to make a lot of food so that he can grab things out of the refrigerator, and it'll ease his temptation.
Right. That is true. So that's just from one batch.
That's just from one batch, and you can see, well, we could eat out of that 2, 3, 4 days.
I love that.
Now, what I serve it with is a quinoa, which is kind of like a power food. In fact, Steve turned me on to it.
Yeah, it's just great. I mean, you eat this stuff and you feel like a warrior, and I mean in a good way. You know, whatever you want to do, you feel like you have the energy and you're clean and clear, and it's just great tasting.
The other thing too that I love is you incorporate a lot of salads, a lot of wonderful salad dressings, which also you mentioned being clear and clean and feeling good. That absolutely helps.
Right, and most salad dressings have oil in it, but Steve has discovered his own.
Well, balsamic vinegar is not my own.
Oh, I love that.
It's been discovered for hundreds of years.
Somebody discovered it for you, I think.
Right. But I discovered it. Well, what I discovered is balsamic glaze, which is sort of a sweetened version of it, and it just adds great taste, and it just makes everything so colorful and tasty at the same time.
Well, you know, you mentioned colorful, and I mean, look at this plate. Isn't that, I mean, you've got color, you've got texture, you've got everything.
Right, it's a well-rounded plate. I mean, if you had a meat dish, you'd have a meat, you'd have a starch, and you'd have a vegetable, and you'd have your salad. We just replaced it with the lentil stew.
All right, so at the end of the day, to wrap this up, the bottom line is that you can cook like this and it can taste good. I mean, healthy doesn't have to mean bland, it doesn't have to mean boring.
Absolutely not.
Okay, well, good. And so, you know what? I'm taking that home. You know, I have 3 children.
All right.
And I don't want to cook tonight. Okay. So thank you all.
My guess like I was yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys both for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Anytime. And for more information on these recipes or to see the segment again, I'm serious, I'm taking it home. We want you to check out our website, thebalancingAct.com.